Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. I'm the Pigment Fairy, and today I'm going to be talking about collision. After deciding to take this crazy leap into the life of an artist, I quickly found out that there is a very strong need to find a balance between your creative side and your adulting responsibilities. And that is what this piece is all about. Thank you so much for joining me again. If this is your first time here, I'm the Pigment Fairy, and I'm here to encourage those sparkly dreams inside of you through art and inspiration. Let's go! So this is Collision, 16 by 40 acrylic mixed media on canvas. The first thing I do is create this base coat, and like I said, I used acrylic. The way I decide, how I mix my colors, this is my favorite palette knife, and I like to chop up the colors and mix it until I find peace in the color that I've created. The next thing I did with this one, I actually played with some different mediums. You might have heard me on some of my other videos, I talk about this extra coarse pumice that I love to use. It's this stuff right here. It makes it all kind of crumbly looking, or textured and rough looking. And this one up here is a new one that I experimented with. I actually made my own medium. It looks kind of chunky and funky. That rhymed. I made my own medium. I used this thing. This is like one of those crumbly foam things that gets green stuff everywhere. It's actually pretty annoying. What I did, you can see how scratchy it looks on the front. I took my palette knife and I scratched it, I'm not gonna do it now, into a bowl. And then I took a fork and some paint and I squirted some of my paint that I had created. And then I took a fork and I squished it all together and chopped it up like I was making biscuits or something. But instead of biscuits, I'm making a medium. I actually used the same bowl that I make biscuits in, but it's very clean. You should always clean. Probably use a different bowl versus your artistic things because it's probably not good for you. I'm done. This is what it actually looks like when it's all squished up and done. I think I'm aiming it right. So that's how I made that interesting medium at the top. My next step is this fairy dust in the middle. And what I do is I take this just regular, any kind of regular spray adhesive. It's really messy and probably hard for you to see. Here's a cleaner one. You can actually see the label. But it's this spray adhesive stuff. And I just it dries within 15 seconds. Yeah, within 15 seconds it dries. So it's a really quick and a kind of stressful sometimes process. So you spray on here and then you put your fairy dust on here and then you take your paintbrush and you just go back and forth until you're happy with how expanded and explodey it is. And then the next thing, I'm gonna get in the giggles. If you ever get into a giggle loop, just breathe really deep, in and out. Get rid of your giggles. It's really hard to get rid of them sometimes. So my next layer, I took acrylic metallic paint. And what I do with this one, I actually just added a little bit of water to my paint and I mixed it up and then took a different just like a small paintbrush, and I should have covered the floors, but I didn't, and the floors are they got pretty messy. If you're doing this at home and you care about your floors, maybe just put a tarp down or something to protect your carpets. Do you have any tips on how to get acrylic paint stains off of your carpets? Please comment below. I could really use this advice. Anyway, so moving on. So I took my acrylic paints and mixed with water, and I only used water because it made it extra thin and a lot easier to splatter. Also created these the more water you add, it does thin your paint out, but adds these nice delicate streaks and delicate lines for your splatter, rather than just using straight up paint. This one is actually also, all of my paintings are really dear to me. They're kind of like my babies. Yes, they're my babies. This is the first painting that I did, or art piece that I did, that was in my voice. This is the one where I discovered my voice, which is where I really figured out how I want to implement various textures and fairy dust. Throughout all of my paintings, you'll see this fairy dust, and it represents that sparkle that I talk to you guys about sometimes. Protect your sparkle, that's my thing. What is this sparkle? It is the light inside of you that ignites your muse and shines to the world. It keeps you alive, it keeps your creative energy alive, it keeps your muse happy, and it keeps you happy. And that's what the sparkle is. This one represents those these two big balances in this battle that artists often go through. Finding a balance between responsibility and creativity. Too much of one can really smother that sparkle. A big mistake that a lot of artists make is focusing too much. The top part represents that creative side, and the bottom part, this rooted side, is that responsibility that you have as an adult. But this is where you're rooted. If you're rooted too far down, your sparkle will smother out. However, if you let your creativity take you too far away from your responsibilities, that can also lift away your sparkle, and it can't live in harmony. It can't truly thrive. This is about finding that balance between those two things. I truly believe that habits create more habits. That sounds weird, but habits don't know that you're lazy at your job because your job is really boring and you're not really interested in it. When you aren't working hard, like let's say for your schoolwork or for this job that's really boring and you feel like is suffocating when you're there. I've been there, I get it. But if you let yourself become lazy, that creates the habit of laziness. So when you get home and you want to have the motivation to start jumping into your creativity, now suddenly you've created this vicious cycle of laziness, and you might not have the creative energy you need to put towards your art. Art does require discipline. If you have bad habits outside of your art, they're gonna bleed into your artistic endeavors. I have another point to make. I'm being a wisdom fairy today-ish. You might not think I'm wise, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's fine. So yes, habits lead to habits. Sorry again, I hit the... At the same token, you don't want those responsibilities to consume your mind 24/7. What I recommend is try to find some way for those responsibilities to be on autopilot. And what do I mean by autopilot? For example, me, I write down all the boring things that I have to get done, whether it's waking up at a certain time, making making sure that I have, all of my food prepped for the week or whatever, right? And then log in to my work. If I go ahead and make the commitment ahead of time that these are the things I know I have to do every day, and I just go ahead of time to make that commitment, I no longer have to think about doing these lists of things. If you don't have to think about it and you just make a commitment and do it, you no longer have to suck creative energy out of you to catch up on procrastination. I understand that we all have different cards. We all have different struggles. I've been there. We all have a different story, and I have my story, you have your story. Everyone's balance is different. We all have different personality traits, and we all have different tendencies. You might be the person that's like, I've got this responsibility thing. I need a muse. I need to spark something inside of me. There's many different things that you can do. Surround yourself with other people who are just like pure creatives, and their creative energy will feed off of you. So that being said, Whatever you need to do to find your balance, stick to it. That sounds really silly. Whether you have your muse already really happy and you are just like going full force with that creative energy, but maybe you're lacking a little bit on that responsibility side, or if you've got you've got that responsibility down and you just need to like focus on finding some inspiration for yourself, do whatever you need to do to find that balance. And once you do, your sparkle is going to become so much more stable and protected. Finding this balance it's vital to you. It's vital to your sparkle, and you owe it to yourself as an artist, as an artistic being, to balance yourself, protect this sparkle inside of you. It is your responsibility. It's not the easiest thing. I'm not here to tell you, oh, just make a list, just do this. It is not easy. If you focus, it can become less of a mountain than it seems like right now. That is it. Boom. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the Pigment Fairy. If you liked what you saw today or you found some value, please feel free to subscribe, maybe even hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload my next video, or even just give me a little like on my video. I'd appreciate that too. The question of the day: what is it that you do to find balance between your responsibility and your creativity? I would love to hear your tips. I'm like you and a growing artist, and always trying to grow and find a better balance for myself. Thank you guys so much for walking. You're not walking, you're watching. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm the Pigment Fairy, and always, always remember, protect your sparkle.